What's up, everybody? It's Chris with Ninth Limb and the Silent Flute, your favorite bad boy yogi on the planet, on the web. And I'm going to talk about time warping. Time warping is a technique that time dilation, time distorting. I mean, there's probably physical, like in physics, terminologies for this, but this is a technique of the mind to alleviate any suffering that's happening in the present. And the reason why I'm teaching this to you is actually I got a hate message this morning. I was teaching a workshop in Jacksonville, and after the workshop I stayed for a class. They asked me to stay for a class, so I participated in a class, a kind of yoga that I'd never tried before, and really enjoyed it. Afterwards, the teacher of that class adds me on Facebook. And so just naturally, it's a female, naturally through communication with me, I'm a pretty seductive person, and outside of teaching, it's all fair game. Within teaching, I never flirt with students. I don't hit on students. If you were a student of mine, it's got to be out. We have to meet outside of yoga. It can't be that's weird for me. But if it's my teacher, for example, I'm a student of a class and she hasn't been a student of mine, it was open game. So I didn't say anything appropriate. I said something like, describe that feeling to me. She had a feeling. I said, describe the feeling. This morning I wake to a message of the studio owner, and this is tying it back to time warping, basically condemning my soul and saying, I'll pray for you, you're going to get karmically kicked in the ass, and I'll pray for your soul. That was the sentence that she said. That is a form of time warping. To say that to bring in karma, to say that I'll pray for your soul, that really takes the mind into the future, because assuming you're not going to die today or tomorrow anytime soon, it's saying that at the end of your life, and you have so many years left, that even after that, beyond that, you're going to be punished for this nonsense. It was nonsense. Like, you're punishing the student for the teacher hitting on me, but because I'm the student in that case. But she time warps it, and it's a very effective technique. In that case, she was trying to put a curse on me and induce suffering. And so, woe to her, and I won't even name the place because it's unworthy now. But the time warping effect was to take the person's mind deep into the future, and then in her case was to try to inflict fear or remorse or whatever negative emotions beyond death. Okay, so it would induce anxiety. Of course, what if her mind is not capable of doing that? What if I don't actually need her forgiveness, or her, what is she going to do? She's nothing. She's nothing to me. All that matters is my own forgiveness and of myself. And do I actually think what I did was wrong? And it wasn't. But to use this effectively in a positive way, somebody has asked me about meditating, that they get anxious, or they're just like clock watching. They're waiting. This is a term from wrestling. If you're looking at the clock while you're wrestling, waiting for time to finish. And if you're just waiting for time to finish in your yoga practice, there's a way to warp time to give yourself a little bit more ease, give yourself a little bit more patience. And this is something I'll do to myself, is I'll essentially tell myself I'm doing this for some really long time. I'll be like 1,000,000 years. This is nothing. I have 1,000,000 more years of this. I have 100 more years of sitting and doing this meditation. And in the process of convincing myself of that, the 20 minutes remaining in the meditation is nothing. It does, you could do the same thing. Sometimes I'll do, in Ashtanga, they have this boat pose. You sit on your butt, you're balancing on your butt with your legs up. It's quite challenging on the core. And sometimes I don't want to do all 5 sets. You do 5 sets in the Ashtanga sequence. And so sometimes when I'm counting, I do set 1, because after each set you kind of lift up on your hands and balance on your hands for just half a breath. As I'll say to myself, 1,000,001, 1,000,002, 1,000,003, and it just warping just greatly. What do they call that? It's a different thing when numerically do something, but it's like a kind of a common principle. I make it so big that the minute change of 1,000,001 to 1,000,002, it makes it so significant that the pain of the pose, because it takes so much effort, a lot of contraction, is insignificant. I do this at the workshop where she's the only one that had a problem with me, her and the teacher. But everybody else loved me, and one of these other people, participants of the workshop, was having difficulty isolating a muscle. It wasn't this muscle, but let's say it was the muscle on the side of the ribcage here, serratus, and we find it through like a pulsing motion. That's how I do the muscle engagement teachings. Is I arrange your body in a certain position, I show you where the muscle is and what its action is, and then I show you a pulsing, repetitive motion that can awaken it and really fill it with your consciousness, because a lot of times only part of the muscle is being active. And it's often different on both sides of the body. So on one side, the front part of the muscle might be active. On the other side, it's the back part. This is just a very common pattern in normal people, let alone like people with scoliosis. I don't mean normal people, but people with normal physiology. And so it's through repetition that the clarification happens. More reps, more reps. And so she was getting a little bit frustrated. She wasn't finding it, and so time warp. Don't worry, you got a million more years to practice this. I've done this 1,000 times, and I'm still getting more clarification. So let go of the need for it to happen right now. I've shown you how it will happen with practice. Give it 10, 20, 1,000 practices, a lifetime, multiple lifetimes. It'll eventually come. And as you expand time, the minuteness, because you intuitively know that your frustration is temporary. Any of your emotions are temporary. If you're feeling anxiety, fear, nervousness, frustration, that's gonna pass for sure. For sure. Look back on any emotion that you've ever had. It didn't stay. It changed, right? So, but sometimes we get wrapped up. I'm really into using the W, the wrapped up in the emotion, and that's called attachment. That's called identifying with what is intrinsically not permanent, which Patanjali talks about in the Yoga Sutras. What is permanent? Well, that's a deeper conversation. That's part of what the Silent Flute training program is about. But when you start to warp time into like very large numbers, you approach a perspective that is closer to that which is permanent, which is titled Purusha, or the seer, or the witness, or truly just your core, the deepest essence that is you. Okay, so that's time warping. I hope you find this helpful. The Silent Flute training program is a weekly lecture program. It's recorded, and we go deeper into this in different meditation skills, and of course the language of Hatha Yoga, which is the yoga of warriors. You go to ninthlimb.com under the Silent Flute, sign up for the program. It's only $97 a month, which is much less than you would get, what you would be able to get 4 private training sessions for. There's also continued online support. So I hope you found this helpful. Like, share, definitely subscribe to the channel. Namaste. Yoga Chris out.